Hey everyone, welcome to the recap of the recaps of A Tale of Turmoil, the Pathfinder 2nd edition homebrew game that we run. Now I say recap of the recaps because, well, it's quite a bit. We've been playing for 20 sessions before we started streaming and recording, so that's quite a few sessions. Now I do want to give you all a chance to catch up to the game so that we don't have to explain everything in session. So I'll do my best to keep this short, but I promise I will fail. We started out with 4 unlikely companions: Wilhelm, the son to the Imperial Divine King the Susanmore, Miremia, the half-elf alchemist from the university, Polomin, the gnome wizard from somewhere, and Varus, the noble paladin of Ilios who had lost his entire family on one fateful ball. They were all summoned to Cortuda, the Desert Pearl and the capital city of the Kingdom of Castanos. They received a special mission. Strange scaly creatures had been spotted in Nagrite in the south, and they spoke of powerful artifacts hidden in Breccia, deep in the mountains. Now why these 4 people? They were all selected for one reason or another, but that was never revealed to them entirely. What is clear is that this group is formed in an attempt to stand united against the Kingslayers. These artifacts are to be used as weapons of war. They make their way through the mysterious woods at the edge of Castanos to the now imperial city of Renkasal, near Breccia. Renkasal turns out to be a city that was assimilated by the Imperium fairly recently, and it shows. About half the population is Imperial, the other half is native, and they're not on great terms. The group had a contact in Renkasal, but he turns out to be dead. They find him in his tent at Corin's Pass, a large rope bridge leading into Breccia. They follow a bloody trail to the cave. Upon entering the cave, they find quite a bit of resistance. Humans dressed like birds attempt to persuade them to join their cult, as they require blood of the heretic. The party refuses and takes them out, finding a strange amulet that is shaped like an eye that actually blinks, capturing one of the cultists alive, and they head back to Renkasal. What they find there is odd, at best. The entire city has vanished, and all that is left behind is purple electricity zapping across the building's foundations. Moments later it returns, and although the people look a little pale, they act as if nothing happened. The party tells the people there what happened, and they scramble to look for an explanation. Was it Krug, the ancient giant that left a massive crater as his footprint? Dragons, or something else entirely? At any rate, it seems to attract a group of mage hunters, and after Miremia accidentally spills the beans about Polomin's magic, the group is captured and about to be hanged when a local girl, Lynn, comes to their rescue. She seems to believe Krug has returned and knows where to find his final resting place. It's in the basin, a large crater deep in Breccia. Wilhelm by now is fed up with all this nonsense, and he decides to leave the group, to return to his father, the Divine King of the Imperium. In other words, the character got retired. Kira then shows up on the way to the basin, a female druid of the wild mountains in Breccia, and she decides to accompany the group for now. When the group arrives at the basin, the massive crater with a thick rainforest contained in it, they soon find out that life inside this contained crater has grown strong and strange at times. They find out about the 3 different clans of swamp-dwelling humanoids and their internal conflicts. They reach the final resting place of Krug and actually find his head, though that's hard to recognize as such due to the sheer size of it. The druids there keep the head from decaying and ask the group to get rid of the swamp dwellers, or at least their fight in the Lake Up River as it contaminates the water. Varus is confronted by a long-lost uncle who turns out to be kept alive by the druid's magic. In truth, he seems stuck in the past, and after giving Varus some vital clues about his family, he steps outside the protective circle and returns to dust. The group takes on the druid's quest and devises a plan. They saw a very large creature, a predator, towering over the trees and decide to make use of it. They lure it towards a camp of the swamp dwellers, which turns out to be a small village with women and kids more than fighters. The Destroyer, as the predator is called, does its name justice as it wipes out the village and nearly the group with it. The waters turn red and the paladin is conflicted. The druid elder tells them the artifact they found back in the cave is dangerous and powerful, but that only they of the appropriate ancient faith could use it. You decide you don't fully trust your contractor in Cortuda, and you first want to visit the university, to have it studied and examined. As they make their way to the university, they get a feeling they're being followed, but they choose not to investigate further right now. The university is a massive building, mostly an ancient castle with numerous add-ons. The place is guarded by constructs that appear to be little more than armor and glaives. The inside of the castle is pure chaos and uncoordinated hallways, stairs and doors, but since Miramia spent most of her life here, she knows the way. The party visits Miri's mother, Grand Archivist Alodine in the archives, which is basically a gigantic warehouse filled with all sorts of oddities. They also meet Azazel, or Zaz, Miri's old acquaintance. The Grand Archivist studies the artifact for hours on end, but she's disturbed by intruders. As a group rushes to her aid, they find that the intruders aren't human, but scaly creatures. They fight them off, however, with little effort. The party then captures one of the creatures alive, tortures it a bit, and then Polomin kills it. Not before extracting some information, however. The faction is called Vera Clavis, and the Keymaker is coming for them. These are their lands, and they're coming to reclaim them. Not much later, the alarm bells start ringing as the university is under attack. At the front gates, a couple dozen of the lizard folk are lined up, ready to storm the building. At the back, some larger serpent folk. As the artifact starts pulsating and the constructs start glitching and faltering. In the meantime, they're confronted by shadows seeping through the cracks in the floor, two apparitions made purely of shadows from vaguely humanoid shapes. As it turns out, Zaz, who always looks a bit funny, has a dark spirit inside of him, which the shadows promptly rip out of him. The Dark Shadow then identifies himself as King Ragnarok, another shadow creature, and attempts to reclaim the castle. Fortunately, some of the construct guards still seem to function properly, and they come to the group's aid. Now, time for a plan. They decide to make good use of the university's resources, and after some haggling with strange scientists, they strap a large bomb to a construct and march it out to the front gate. Right before it explodes, it glitches again, but fortunately it recovers and marches on. A massive explosion follows, and limp, scaly bodies fly across the battlefield. The party, including Zaz now, charges through on horseback, only to stop half a mile later. A woman lies on the floor, and several cloaked figures seem to tend to her. Paris wants to help, but realizes too late that the people seem a bit taller than normal, and there's no blood. Yet. The serpent folk shift back into their regular form and lash out at them. One in particular doesn't seem quite as intelligent, but wields a sword that turns to shadow and then, on impact, turns back. The party tries to fight them off, but end up having to run. They're completely out of resources by now. Kira dismounts and delays them, running them around in circles for a bit, until she finally gets taken down. The rest decide not to let her sacrifice be in vain, and they run. On their way back to Kortuda, they meet up with Crow, an employee of the Guild of Coins. The Guild is a widespread trade organization, and they prefer to keep away the panic, so if these people have an artifact that can do that, they're valuable. The group finds their contractor, who brings them to a highly pregnant Queen Friedegunde, the daughter of the Imperial King and the wife of the very ill King of Castanos, a close friend of Varus. After they explain the situation, she tells them there is someone who may just know a thing or two about this artifact, a wizard who lives under the palace. After opening an inconspicuous trapdoor in the storage cellars, the party descends down a spiral staircase that seems to stop going down after a while and start going up again. That's how it felt, at least. Strange music fills their ears, and they all get a very distinct feeling. A series of even stranger puzzles follows, in which Miramia accidentally promises Zaz's soul as collateral, and they see all sorts of mythical creatures, including a dragon. After figuring them all out, they still need to prove their worth as they battle the literal elements in a sort of arena. Afterwards, they find a wizard sitting behind this piano. He wears a white opera mask, not unlike the logo of the show. He calls the queen a fool, tells you he's lived for 1,000 years, and explains that artifacts this powerful are made by divine power and cannot simply be destroyed. At best, they can be hidden, and one god in particular is good at that. Ilios. Ilios is an absent god, and he didn't partake in the conception. He's an ancient god, said to have stood at the base of the pantheon itself. In his millennia, Ilios has learned of things so horrific, he considers it his purpose to prevent others from learning of these horrors. One of his followers is standing right there, Varus. So the wizard, we'll call him Liros for now, suggests he speaks to his god. Since he cannot do that, his connection isn't that strong, he'd better find someone who can. So at this point, the party is back where they started, in Kortuda, but now they have a powerful artifact that appears to attract all sorts of horrible creatures. Time to find a paladin of a god who likes to stay hidden. Be sure to check out the second part of this video as well. I promised you it was gonna run long. Also, come join us every Thursday at 7:15 PM CEST on Twitch, and also Mondays for Return of Light, another homebrew Pathfinder 2nd edition campaign. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.
you.